Week 10 Day 1. Inclement unfavorable, stormy since she blamed her absence from the game on the inclement weather, but we knew that was sour grapes since inclement adjective formal describes weather which is unpleasant, especially cold or stormy. Peruse, to read carefully since after being admonished reprimanded by his father, he began to peruse the want ads daily since peruse verb T formal to read through something, especially in order to find the part you are interested in. He opened a newspaper, and began to peruse the personal ads. Perusal noun S or U formal a brief perusal a quick read. He sent a copy of the report to the governors for their perusal for them to read. Premonition forewarning sense, when the black cat crossed her path, Ellen had a premonition of disaster sense premonition noun see a feeling that something, especially something unpleasant, is going to happen, plus that he had a premonition that his plane would crash, so he took the train. She had a sudden premonition of what the future might bring. Desist cease since the pickets promulgated publicize a warning that they would not desist in their efforts to enhance their standard of living since desist verb I formal to stop doing something, especially something that someone else does not want you to do. The soldiers have been ordered to desist from firing their guns. The high winds are expected to desist tomorrow. Recoil drawback sense, as the snake prepared to strike the girls recoil in horror sense recoil fear disgust verb I1, to move back because of fear or disgust, he leaned forward to kiss her and she recoiled in horror. I recoiled from the smell and the filth. 2. To refuse to accept an idea or principle, feeling strong disgust or disapproval, she wondered how it would be to touch him, and recoiled at the thought sense recoil gun now knew the sudden backward movement that a gun makes when it is fired to pay the piper, to bear the consequences from the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Since the cruel leader was doing well at the present time, but he knew that one day he might have to pay the piper. Jerry Hart's sixth sense. An uneasy feeling had made Jerry Hart miserable sad all day long. It was difficult to explain, but the similar sensations in the past had been accurate. Trouble was on the way. Just as some people can predict the onset of inclement weather, because of an aching in their bones, so could Jerry detect incipient rudimentary disaster. He sat at his desk, trying to peruse the company report but his efforts were ineffectual. The gnawing at his insides, the tinge of uneasiness, the premonition of calamity, that besieged surround him would not desist. When the phone rang, he recoiled with fear. It was his wife and she was hysterical. Their son had been bitten by a mad dog. Week 10 Day 2. Pertinent to the point sense during the trial the astute smart lawyer was able to elicit the pertinent information from the key witness sense pertinent adjective formal relating directly to the subject being considered, a pertinent question remark chapter 1 is pertinent to the post-war period. Note, the opposite is irrelevant. Do not confuse with impertinent rude. Mastiff large dog sense my nervous neighbor bought a pugnacious warlike mastiff. To frighten burglars sense mastiff noun see a large strong short-haired dog obsessed to haunt, preoccupy sense the stockbroker was obsessed with the idea of becoming a painter sense obsess verb, if something or someone obsesses you, or if you obsess about something or someone, you think about it, him, or her all the time. The whole relationship obsessed me for years. She used to obsess about her weight. Obsessed adjective obsession noun doleful sad, melancholy sense doleful expressions abounded fully filled throughout headquarters on the night of the election sense doleful adjective very sad, a doleful expression dolefully aberwan sickly pale sense after the tension, his normally ruddy face was wan and tired sense wan adjective wanner, wanest literary of a person's face paler than usual, and tired looking wanly adverb literary on the carpet being scolded sense, because of her repeated lateness, Batty's boss called her on the carpet. Crisis. As soon as Jerry Hart could get the pertinent facts from his wife, he dashed out of the office on his way home. He jostled people in the hallway, implored the elevator operator to hurry, and with flagrant notably bad disregard for an elderly gentleman jumped into the cab he had hailed. The 20-minute taxi ride seemed interminable and ending, and all the while horrible thoughts occurred to Jerry. Visions of an ugly mastiff with foaming jaws obsessed him. A crowd of people had gathered in front of his house so that Jerry had to force his way through them. Little Bobby was on his bed, surrounded by a doctor, a policeman, Jerry's doleful wife, his 2 daughters, and a half-dozen neighbors. Week 10 Day 3. Histrionic's display of emotion sent saying that he would not tolerate her histrionics. The director fired the temperamental actress since histrionic adjective disapproving very emotional and energetic, but lacking sincerity or real meaning. A histrionic outburst she put on a histrionic display of grief at her ex-husband's funeral. Histrionically adverb disapproving histrionics plural noun disapproving very emotional and energetic behavior that lacks sincerity and real meaning. I'd had enough of Lydia's histrionics elusive hard to grasp since all his life he found happiness elusive, but wealth easy to come by since elusive adjective difficult to describe, find, achieve or remember. The answers to these questions remain as elusive as ever. Success, however, remained elusive for her. Elusive memories elusively adverb elusiveness noun you frustrate counteract, thwart hinder. Since the warden frustrated the prisoner's attempt to escape by adding more guard since frustrate discourage verb to make someone feel annoyed or discouraged, because they cannot achieve what they want, it frustrates me that I'm not able to put any of my ideas into practice. Frustrated adjective are you feeling frustrated in your present job? Frustrating adjective making you feel frustrated, he doesn't listen to what I say and it's so frustrating. Frustration noun see or you I could sense his frustration at not being able to help. This job has more than its fair share of frustrations problems that make me feel frustrated. Sense frustrate prevent verb to prevent the plans or efforts of someone or something from being achieved. The continuing civil war is frustrating the efforts of relief agencies to feed thousands of famine victims. Frustrated adjective 1. Before noun describes a person who has not succeeded in a particular type of job. Frustrated writers often end up in publishing. 2. A frustrated emotion is one that you are not able to express, her frustrated love for him. 3. Not fulfilled sexually frustration noun you symptomatic having to do with signs or symptoms, indicative sense the sordid writing was symptomatic of the problems facing the large cities sense symptom noun C1 any feeling of illness or physical or mental change, which is caused by a particular disease. He's complaining of all the usual flu symptoms a high temperature, headache and so on. He's been HIV positive for 6 years. But just recently he started to develop the symptoms of AIDS. 2. Any single problem, which is caused by and shows a more serious and general problem, it's her feeling that the recent outbreaks of violence are a symptom of the dissatisfaction that is currently affecting our society. Symptomatic adjective, if something bad is symptomatic of something else, it is caused by the other thing and is proof that it exists. Jealousy within a relationship is usually symptomatic of low self-esteem in one of the partners. Interject insert, interrupt sense most viewers hate it when a commercial is interjected into a suspense drama sense interject verb I or T formal, to say something, while another person is speaking, to interrupt, plus speech that's absolutely ridiculous. Mary interjected. Interjection noun formal 1 C or U when someone interrupts someone else, or the interruptions themselves. Her controversial speech was punctuated with noisy interjections from the audience. 2C in grammar, an interjection is a word which is used to show a short sudden expression of emotion. Hey is an interjection. To show one's hand to reveal one's intentions. When someone joined in bidding for the antique, the dealer was forced to show his hand. A time for decision. The doctor explained the situation calmly, avoiding histrionics. First of all, they didn't know whether the dog had rabies. Secondly, the elusive dog had frustrated all attempts to find him so far. Finally, the decision would have to be made, whether Bobby was to undergo the painful vaccination administered daily for 2 weeks. Mrs. Hart said that a neighbor, who had seen the dog claimed that it had been foaming at the mouth, barking, and growling constantly all symptomatic of rabies. But the policeman interjected that there hadn't been a case of a mad dog in the county in over 20 years. He repudiated the neighbor's report, advocating that they do nothing for at least another day. Mr. and Mrs. Hart sat down to think about their next step. Week 10 Day 4. Inert without power to move sense seeing the inert player, the manager dashed out onto the field sense inert not moving adjective 1 not moving or not able to move. The inert figure of a man could be seen lying in the front of the car. 2 Not energetic or interesting. the narrative is inert and sloppy, as if the author had been writing half asleep. Inertly adverb sense inert chemical characteristic adjective specialized not reacting chemically with other substances, inert gases salient outstanding, prominent sense. One of the salient features of her poetry is a dependence upon euphemism soft words. Sense salient adjective formal. The salient facts about something or qualities of something are the most important things about them. She began to summarize the salient features points of the proposal. The article presented the salient facts of the dispute clearly and concisely. Imminent, likely to happen, threatening sense. The senator loathed unlike, unwilling it when people said that an atomic war was imminent. Sense imminent adjective coming or likely to happen very soon. Imminent disaster danger. A strike is imminent. Imminence noun you when something is imminent. Squeamish easily shocked, oversensitive sense. When a squeamish partner complained about a lack of ethics, the businessman laughed at his innocent sense. Squeamish adjective easily upset or shocked by things which you find unpleasant or which you do not approve of. She's really squeamish and can't stand the sight of blood. Many cooks are squeamish about putting live shellfish into boiling water. Squeamishly adverb in a way that shows how easily upset or shocked you are by something. Squeamishness noun you engrossed absorbed sense. Engrossed in his crossword puzzle, he failed to notice the paucity of customers in the restaurant. Sense engrossed adjective giving all your attention to something. Absorbed, she was so engrossed in the book that she forgot the cakes in the oven. They were so engrossed with what they were doing that they didn't hear me come in. Engrossing adjective very interesting and needing all your attention. An engrossing book story to tilt at windmills to fight imaginary enemies from Don Quixote. Since the vice president told the committee, "We are really on your side, and if you fight us you'll be tilting at windmills." The pertinent facts about rabies. "Give me some of the rudimentary information about the disease, Doc," said Jerry, glancing toward the inert figure of his son. "Well, as you know, the malady used to be called hydrophobia, fear of water, because one of the symptoms is an inability to swallow liquids. Actually, it is caused by a live virus from the saliva of an infected animal. If saliva gets into a bite wound, the victim may get rabies. The virus travels along the nerves to the spine and brain. Once the salient characteristics appear 10 days to 6 months, then death is imminent." "What are the symptoms?" asked Mrs. Hart. "Pain and numbness. Difficulty in swallowing, headaches and nervousness. Also, muscle spasms and convulsions." The squeamish neighbors who were engrossed in the doctor's remarks gasped. "I think we should go ahead with the injections," the distraught Mrs. Hart said. "I've heard enough." Week 10 Day 5. The potato that strangled Idaho. People who are squeamish about the sight of blood or recoil in horror from most forms of violence would do well to avoid some of the movies now being shown at their local cinemas. Producers have learned that films that scare the patrons out of their seats, ironically, put millions of fans into those seats, keeping them engrossed in the goose pimple-inducing spectacles that flash across the screen. Of course, each movie carries with it a rating that indicates its suitability for certain age groups, either because of its subject matter, language, presentation, or level of violence. Pictures with a G rating are approved for all audiences, while, at the other end of the scale, those that are given an 10 rating are for adults only, with no children allowed under any circumstance. Getting an R rating indicates that the movie is restricted. No one under 18 admitted without an adult, but some Hollywood moguls consider the R to be the magnet that ensures box office success. And we can be sure that, as long as shock films ring up a merry tune on the cash registers, producers will not desist from making them. A director, who specializes in making gory films involving monsters, vampires, and brutal serial killers, boasted in a college lecture that his work was in good taste. One student, who disagreed, was provoked to interject that in his opinion the diet of shock-schlock movies was in worse taste than those pictures that contained vulgar language and nudity. "At least they're honest," he declared.